I want you to close your eyes for a moment and think about the happiest day of your life. Got it? Now imagine that day turning into your worst nightmare in the span of 60 seconds. That's exactly what happened to me. And I'm going to tell you every single detail. My name doesn't matter. What matters is that 6 months ago, I was the happiest man alive. I had just proposed to the woman of my dreams. Sarah. God. Even saying her name now feels like swallowing glass. We'd been together for 4 years. For years of what I thought was genuine love, trust, and partnership. She was everything I'd ever wanted. Smart, beautiful, funny in that quirky way that made even mundane moments feel special. She had this laugh that could light up a room, and when she looked at me, I genuinely believed I was the only person in her world. The proposal was perfect. I'd planned it for months. We went back to the same beach where we had our first date. I got down on one knee as the sun set over the ocean, the sky painted in those impossible shades of orange and pink. When I opened that little velvet box, tears streamed down her face. She said yes before I could even finish asking the question. That moment felt like the beginning of everything. Looking back now, I wonder if she was already cheating on me then. Was she thinking about him when she kissed me? Was she planning how to juggle 2 lives? I'll never know for sure, but God, that thought keeps me up at night. After the proposal, life became a whirlwind of wedding planning. Sarah threw herself into it completely. She had Pinterest boards, spreadsheets, color-coded calendars. She'd spend hours talking about flower arrangements, seating charts, and whether we should have a band or a DJ. I went along with everything, just happy to see her so excited about our future together. Her maid of honor, Jessica, was always around. They'd been best friends since college, and honestly, I was grateful Sarah had someone to share all the wedding planning details with. Jessica seemed nice enough, always friendly when I saw her, always supportive of our relationship. I never suspected a thing. We decided to have an engagement party 3 months after the proposal. Sarah insisted on it. She wanted to celebrate with all our friends and family before the wedding craziness really kicked into high gear. We booked this beautiful venue, a restored barn on a vineyard about an hour outside the city. It was expensive, but we both agreed it was worth it. This was our celebration, after all. The beginning of our new chapter. The week leading up to the party, Sarah seemed different. I couldn't quite put my finger on it. She was distracted, constantly on her phone, laughing at texts she wouldn't share with me. When I asked who she was talking to, she'd say it was Jessica or her sister, wedding stuff. I believed her. Why wouldn't I? There was this one night, maybe 4 days before the party, when I woke up around 3 in the morning. Sarah wasn't in bed. I found her in the living room, sitting in the dark with her phone, the blue light from the screen illuminating her face. She was smiling at whatever she was reading. "Babe? You okay?" I asked. She jumped like I'd fired a gun. Her phone clattered onto the coffee table, and she fumbled to grab it, her face flushed even in the darkness. "Oh my God, you scared me." I couldn't sleep, just scrolling through Instagram. It was a lie. I know that now. But in that moment, I just shuffled over to her, kissed her forehead, and told her to come back to bed. She did, but it took her a while. I could feel her lying there, wide awake, her body tense beside mine. I should have known then. The signs were all there. But love makes you blind, doesn't it? Or maybe it makes you willfully ignorant. Maybe deep down, some part of me knew something was wrong. But I didn't want to look too closely because I was terrified of what I might find. The day of the engagement party arrived. It was a Saturday in late September, one of those perfect early autumn days where the air is crisp but the sun is still warm. The leaves were just starting to turn, splashes of red and gold against the green. It should have been perfect. I woke up that morning with butterflies in my stomach. Good butterflies, or so I thought. Excitement. Today we'd be surrounded by everyone we loved, celebrating our future together. My parents were driving in from out of state. Sarah's whole family would be there. Our friends, our colleagues. Everyone who mattered to us. Sarah was already awake, sitting at her vanity doing her makeup. She was wearing a white sundress, simple but elegant. Her hair was curled, falling in loose waves around her shoulders. She looked absolutely stunning. "Hey, handsome," she said, catching my eye in the mirror. "Big day." "The biggest," I replied, walking over to kiss her neck. She smelled like jasmine and vanilla, that perfume I'd bought her for her birthday. "I can't wait to show you off to everyone." She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. I noticed, but I dismissed it. Wedding stress, I thought. She's just nervous about everything being perfect. We arrived at the venue around 2 in the afternoon. The party didn't start until 5, but Sarah wanted to be there early to oversee the setup. The place looked incredible. String lights were hung across the ceiling of the barn, tables draped in cream-colored linens, centerpieces of wildflowers in mason jars. It was rustic and romantic, and so perfectly Sarah. My best man, Marcus, showed up early to help. He'd been my friend since high school, the kind of guy who'd drop everything to help you move or bail you out of jail, though thankfully I'd never needed the latter. He took one look at me and grinned. "Man, you're really doing this, huh? Settling down, giving up your freedom. Best decision I ever made," I said, and I meant it. I genuinely, truly meant it. If only I'd known. If only I could have seen just a few hours into the future, I would have grabbed Sarah, gotten in the car, and driven far away from that place. But you can't unknow things, can you? You can't unsee what's been seen. As guests started arriving, the party took on a life of its own. Music played, champagne flowed, people laughed and hugged and congratulated us. My dad gave a toast that made my mom cry. Sarah's mother couldn't stop smiling. Everyone kept telling us how perfect we were together, how they'd known from the moment they saw us that we were meant to be. Every word was a knife I didn't know was being sharpened. Sarah was radiant. She worked the room like a professional, greeting guests, thanking them for coming, laughing at jokes, posing for photos. She held my hand, kissed my cheek, played the role of the perfect bride-to-be. And I stood there beside her, the proud groom, thinking I was the luckiest man in the world. Around 7:30, after dinner had been served and the initial rounds of toasts had finished, Sarah excused herself to go to the bathroom. Jessica followed her a moment later. Girl stuff, I assumed. Nothing unusual. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. Then 30. I started to worry. Not suspicious worry, just concerned fiancé worry. Maybe she was feeling sick? Maybe the stress of the day had gotten to her? I decided to go check on her. The bathroom in the venue was at the end of a long hallway, past the kitchen and storage areas. As I walked down that hallway, I could hear voices. Muffled at first, then clearer as I got closer. One was definitely Sarah's. But the other voice wasn't Jessica's. It was a man's voice. My stomach dropped, but I still didn't let myself think the worst. Maybe it was one of the venue staff? Maybe there was a problem with something? I rounded the corner. And there, in an alcove just past the bathrooms, in the dim light of that hallway, I saw my fiancé pressed against the wall, kissing another man with a passion I hadn't seen from her in months. His hands were in her hair. Her hands were on his chest. They were so absorbed in each other they didn't hear me approach. Time stopped. My brain couldn't process what my eyes were seeing. This had to be a mistake. A trick of the light. Someone who looked like Sarah but wasn't her. Anything but the truth. But then she moaned softly, and I knew. God help me, I knew that sound. I knew every sound she made. Sarah. My voice came out as barely a whisper, but it was enough. They sprang apart like they'd been electrocuted. Sarah's face went from flushed with passion to white with horror in an instant. The man with her, tall, well-dressed, someone I didn't recognize, took a step back, his eyes wide. "Oh my God," Sarah breathed. "Oh my God, it's not, this isn't." But it was. It absolutely was what it looked like. I stood there, frozen, as my entire world collapsed around me. In the background, I could hear music from the party. People laughing. Celebrating our love. Our future. A future that had just disintegrated in front of my eyes. And the worst part, the absolute worst part, Sarah looked at me, tears starting to stream down her face, and said the words that would haunt me forever. "Please let me explain. I love you. I love both of you. Both of us." As if that made it better somehow. Have you ever had one of those moments where your body goes completely numb, but your mind is racing at 1,000,000 miles an hour? Where time seems to slow down and speed up simultaneously. That's where I was. Standing in that dim hallway, staring at my fiancé and a complete stranger, trying to make sense of words that didn't make any sense at all. "Both of you?" My voice sounded strange, distant, like it was coming from someone else's body. "What the hell does that mean, Sarah?" She took a step toward me, her hand outstretched, mascara already starting to run down her cheeks. "Baby, please, just let me." "Don't." I held up my hand, stopping her in her tracks. "Don't you dare call me that right now." The man, and God, I still didn't even know who he was, cleared his throat. He had the decency to look ashamed, at least. His face was red, and he couldn't meet my eyes. I should go," he muttered. "You should stay," I snapped, my voice finally finding its strength. The anger was starting to break through the shock, hot and acidic in my throat. I want to know who the hell you are and why you're kissing my fiancée at our engagement party. He looked at Sarah, as if asking for permission. That look told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't a drunken mistake. This wasn't a moment of weakness. They had a relationship. A real one. With its own language, its own dynamic, its own history. His name is Daniel, Sarah said quietly. He works at my company. In the marketing department. Daniel. Of course he had a name. Of course he was real. Part of me had still been hoping this was all some nightmare I'd wake up from. How long? I asked. The question came out flat, emotionless. I was proud of that. I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of seeing me break down. Not yet. Sarah's eyes filled with fresh tears. Please, can we talk about this somewhere private? Not here. Not now. Everyone's out there, our families. How long? I roared, and both of them flinched. 8 months, she whispered. 8 months. The number hit me like a physical blow. 8 months. That meant she'd been cheating on me for almost our entire engagement. Before the proposal. Maybe even before I'd started planning the proposal. 8 months, I repeated, my voice hollow. You've been sleeping with him for 8 months? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Sarah? Please explain it to me. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you've been living a double life while I was planning our wedding. While I was introducing you to my family as my future wife. While I was, my voice cracked and I hated myself for it. While I was telling everyone how lucky I was to have you. Daniel spoke up then, which was a mistake. Look man, I'm sorry. I never wanted. I don't care what you wanted. I cut him off. I don't care about you at all. You're nobody to me. You're just the symptom. She's the disease. Sarah flinched at that, and good. I wanted her to hurt. I wanted her to feel even a fraction of what I was feeling. Don't talk about her like that, Daniel said, and there was an edge to his voice now. I laughed. Actually laughed. It was a bitter, ugly sound. Oh, you're defending her honor now? That's rich. Tell me, Daniel, did she tell you about me? When you two were together, did she mention her fiancé? Or did she conveniently forget to bring that up? He had the decency to look away. He knows everything, Sarah said quietly. He's always known about you. Somehow, that was worse. That meant every time he touched her, every time he kissed her, he did it knowing she was going home to me. And she'd compartmentalized her life so completely that she could be with him and then come back to our apartment, slip into bed beside me, and pretend everything was normal. How could you? I asked her, and now the tears were coming, hot and angry and unwanted. How could you look me in the eye every single day and lie to me? How could you let me propose to you? How could you say yes? Because I do love you, she cried. I know you don't believe me, but I do. I love you so much. You're everything I ever wanted. You're kind and stable, and you make me feel safe. Safe, I repeated. I make you feel safe. But he makes you feel what, Sarah? Alive? Excited? Is that the cliché we're going with here? She didn't answer, which was answer enough. Does Jessica know? The question came out of nowhere, but suddenly I needed to know. Your best friend, the one who's been helping you plan our wedding, does she know you've been cheating on me? Sarah's silence spoke volumes. She knows, I said flatly. Of course she knows. Who else? How many people have been watching me play the fool for the past 8 months? No one's been watching you play the fool, Sarah said desperately. No one thinks that. This is between us. Between us? I gestured wildly toward Daniel. There is no us anymore, Sarah. Us died the moment you decided you needed more than what I could give you. That's not fair. Fair. I laughed again, that same bitter sound. You want to talk to me about fair? I spent months planning a perfect proposal for you. I've been working overtime for the past year to save money for our wedding, for our future. I've been looking at houses, for God's sake. I bought a book about being a good husband. And the whole time, you were sneaking around with him. The full reality of it was starting to sink in now, and it felt like drowning. Every memory, every moment of the past 8 months was suddenly tainted. All those times she'd worked late, was she with him? All those girls' nights with Jessica, was she covering for her? All those times Sarah had been too tired for intimacy, had she already been with him that day? I need to know everything, I said. And you're going to tell me. Right now. Not here, Sarah pleaded. Please, let's go somewhere else. Our parents are out there. Your grandma is out there. We can't do this here. Our parents. I felt fresh rage bloom in my chest. You're worried about our parents? You should have thought about that before you decided to make out with your boyfriend in a hallway at our engagement party. My voice had risen to a shout, and I saw both of them glance nervously toward the main hall. Let them worry. Let everyone hear. Why should I be the one to protect her secret? But even in my anger, even in my devastation, some part of me couldn't do it. Couldn't humiliate my parents, her parents, everyone who loved us and believed in us. That was the worst part. I was still protecting her. You're going to go back out there, I said, my voice dangerously quiet now. You're going to smile and act normal for the rest of the night. And he, I pointed at Daniel, is going to leave. Right now. Through the back exit. And you're never going to contact him again. Wait, Daniel started, but I cut him off. I'm not negotiating with you. Get out of my sight before I do something I regret. He looked at Sarah one more time, and the tenderness in that look nearly destroyed me. He looked at her the way I used to look at her. The way I thought she looked at me. I'm sorry, he said to her, not to me. To her. And then he left, disappearing through a side door like the coward he was. That left Sarah and me alone in that hallway. She was crying openly now, her careful makeup ruined, her white dress that I'd told her looked beautiful this morning suddenly seeming like a mockery. White. The color of innocence, of purity, of new beginnings. I'm so sorry, she sobbed. I'm so sorry. I never meant for this to happen. I never meant to hurt you. But you did, I said simply. You did hurt me. You're still hurting me. Every second I have to stand here and look at you, you're hurting me. Please don't hate me. Please. I can fix this. I can end things with him. I choose you. I've always chosen you. No, you haven't, I said. You've been choosing both of us. Playing both sides. Hedging your bets. Well, congratulations, Sarah. You've lost them both. Her face crumpled. You don't mean that. You love me. We can work through this. Couples survive infidelity all the time. We can go to counseling. Counseling? I stared at her in disbelief. You think I want to work through this? You've been lying to me for 8 months. 8 months, Sarah. That's not a mistake. That's not a moment of weakness. That's a choice you made every single day. I know. But people make mistakes. I made a terrible mistake, but it doesn't erase everything we've built together. For years, baby. For years of our lives. Stop calling me that. I snapped. You don't get to use pet names anymore. You don't get to act like we're still us. That person died in this hallway tonight. She reached for me, and I stepped back so fast I nearly tripped. The thought of her touching me now, of those hands that had just been on him touching me, made my skin crawl. You need to pull yourself together, I said coldly. Fix your makeup. Fix your face. We're going to go back out there, and we're going to finish this party. For our families. And then you're going to pack your things and leave our apartment. Where will I go? That's not my problem anymore. Call Jessica. Call your sister. Hell, call Daniel for all I care. But you're not staying in our home tonight. It's my home too. Nothing is yours anymore, I said. The moment you betrayed me, you gave up any claim to anything we built together. The apartment is in my name. The ring. I gestured to her hand, where my grandmother's diamond still sparkled. Was my grandmother's. You'll give that back tonight. She looked down at the ring like she was seeing it for the first time, and fresh tears spilled down her cheeks. Please don't do this, she whispered. Please. I love you. I know I've hurt you, but I love you. We can fix this. Love isn't enough, I said, and the words felt like they were being torn from my chest. Love isn't enough when there's no trust. No respect. No honesty. You've destroyed all of that. I turned to walk away, to go back to the party and put on the performance of my life, but her voice stopped me. I was going to end it with him. I froze. After the wedding, she continued, her voice small and broken. I was going to end things with Daniel after the wedding. I wanted to marry you. I want to marry you. He was something I couldn't explain. But you're my future. You've always been my future. I looked back at her, and I felt something inside me harden into stone. So you were going to lie to me on our wedding day too? Stand up there in front of everyone we know and promise to forsake all others while you were still sleeping with him? Were you planning to end it before or after the honeymoon? She didn't answer. That's what I thought, I said. Come on, let's get this over with. I walked back toward the party, and after a moment, I heard her footsteps following me. Each step felt like I was walking toward my own execution. The sound of laughter and music grew louder as we approached the main hall. My stomach churned. How was I supposed to do this? How was I supposed to smile and pretend everything was fine when my entire world had just imploded? But I had no choice. Not if I wanted to spare my family the humiliation. Not tonight, at least. We stopped just before the entrance, and I turned to look at Sarah one last time. She'd tried to fix her makeup, but you could still see the evidence of her tears. Her eyes were red and swollen. She looked destroyed. Good. Put on a smile, I said. And stay away from me as much as possible. If anyone asks why we're not together, tell them I'm networking or whatever. Just don't come near me. She nodded, unable to speak. We walked back into the party together, side by side but miles apart. The first person to see us was Marcus. He took one look at my face and frowned. You okay, man? He asked quietly, pulling me aside. Not even close, I admitted. But I can't talk about it here. Later. I promise I'll tell you later. He studied my face for a long moment, then nodded. Whatever you need. That's what real loyalty looks like, I thought bitterly. Not whatever twisted thing Sarah had convinced herself she was doing. The rest of the party passed in a blur. I smiled when I was supposed to smile. I laughed when I was supposed to laugh. I accepted congratulations and well wishes and told everyone how excited I was for the future. I lied to every single person in that room, and with each lie, I felt a little more of myself die. Sarah stayed on the other side of the venue, surrounded by her friends and family. Every so often, I'd catch her looking at me, her expression pleading. I'd look away. My mother found me at one point, her face glowing with happiness. Oh honey, this party is just perfect. You two are so perfect together. I'm so happy for you. I hugged her tight, maybe a little too tight, and fought back tears. Thanks, Mom. Love you. Love you too, sweetheart. If only she knew. If only any of them knew what was really happening. But they'd find out soon enough. Tomorrow, probably, when I'd have to make calls and send texts and explain that the wedding was off, that Sarah and I were done, that the perfect couple everyone believed in was nothing but a carefully maintained lie. By 10 o'clock, I couldn't take it anymore. I found Marcus and asked him to help me start wrapping things up. He did, asking no questions, just being there like he always was. As guests started to leave, the thank yous and goodbyes felt like torture. Everyone wanted one last photo, one last hug, one last congratulations. I endured it all with a frozen smile. Finally, mercifully, the last guest left. It was just Sarah, me, Marcus, and a few venue staff cleaning up. The fairy lights that had seemed so magical hours ago now felt harsh and mocking. I'll help clean up, Marcus said, but I shook my head. The venue's handling it. But thanks. For everything. He pulled me into a brief hug. Whatever's going on, you know I've got your back, right? I know. After he left, it was just Sarah and me in that beautiful barn, surrounded by the remnants of a party celebrating a future that would never exist. Ready to go home? She asked quietly. That's not your home anymore. Remember? Her face crumpled again, but I was beyond caring. My capacity for sympathy had been exhausted. We drove back in silence, the hour-long drive feeling like an eternity. When we got to the apartment, Sarah immediately started packing, moving through the rooms like a ghost. I sat on the couch, staring at nothing, trying to process everything that had happened. This morning, I'd woken up as a man about to celebrate his engagement. Tonight, I was single again, betrayed, humiliated, and somehow, I had to figure out how to survive this. As Sarah dragged her suitcase toward the door, she paused. Can I say one more thing? Make it quick. I really did love you. I still do. And I know you don't believe me, but it's true. I'm so sorry for everything. I hope someday you can forgive me. I looked at her, really looked at her, and realized I was staring at a stranger. The woman I'd loved was gone. Maybe she'd never existed in the first place. Goodbye, Sarah. She left, closing the door softly behind her. And I sat there in my apartment, surrounded by photos and memories and the life we'd built together, and finally let myself break down. The engagement party had been everything I'd dreamed it would be, right up until it became my worst nightmare. Have you ever noticed how grief comes in waves? One moment you're fine, functioning, going through the motions. The next moment, it hits you out of nowhere, a memory, a smell, a song, and suddenly you can't breathe. That's where I've been living for the past week. The night Sarah left, I don't think I slept at all. I just sat on that couch, staring at the walls, replaying every moment of our relationship in my head, trying to find the signs I'd missed, wondering how I could have been so blind. Around 3 a.m, I got my first text from her. Please, can we talk? I can't sleep. I can't stop thinking about you. I'm so sorry. I stared at those words for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond, to rage at her, to make her feel even worse than she already did. But I deleted it instead. And then I blocked her number. If she wanted to reach me, she'd have to find another way. Sunday morning came too quickly. The morning after. I woke up on the couch, my neck stiff, my eyes swollen from crying. For about 5 seconds, I forgot what had happened. Then it all came crashing back, and I felt physically ill. I had to tell people. That was the first task of the day. I couldn't let them find out through the grapevine or worse, from Sarah herself. I started with Marcus. He came over around 9, bringing coffee and bagels like he knew I wouldn't have eaten. All right, he said, settling into the chair across from me. What happened last night? So I told him. Everything. From finding Sarah and Daniel in that hallway to the confrontation to the agonizing rest of the party. He listened without interrupting, his expression growing darker with each detail. When I finished, he was quiet for a long moment. 8 months, he finally said. I don't even have words for that. That's not a mistake. That's a lifestyle. That's what I said. And this Daniel guy, he knew about you the whole time? I nodded. Jesus. What kind of person does that? Both of them, I mean. What kind of people do that to someone? I don't know. I thought I knew her, Mark. I really thought I did. But I didn't know her at all. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees. What are you going to do? About what? About everything. The wedding. The apartment. Your families. Right. The families. That was going to be the worst part. I need to call them today, I said. My parents, her parents. Get ahead of whatever story she's going to tell. Do you think she'll lie about it? I think she'll minimize it. Make it sound like it was less than it was. Maybe even try to make me the bad guy somehow. Marcus shook his head in disgust. Unbelievable. You want me here when you make the calls. I considered it but shook my head. I should do this alone. But thanks. After Marcus left, I spent an hour just staring at my phone, trying to work up the courage to start making calls. I decided to start with my parents. They deserved to hear it from me first. My mom answered on the second ring, her voice bright and cheerful. Hi, honey. Oh my goodness, last night was just wonderful. Your dad and I were just talking about how beautiful everything was. Mom. I cut her off, my voice flat. I need to tell you something. Is Dad there? The cheerfulness drained from her voice instantly. What's wrong? Are you okay? Can you put me on speaker? I need to tell you both at the same time. A moment of rustling, then my dad's voice. Son, what's going on? I took a deep breath. The wedding's off. Sarah and I are done. I caught her cheating on me at the party last night. Silence. Then my mother's sharp intake of breath. What? My dad said. What do you mean cheating? With who? Some guy from her work. It's been going on for 8 months. 8 months. My mother's voice was shrill now. 8, oh my God. Oh sweetie, I'm so sorry. Where are you? Are you alone? I'm at the apartment. I'm okay. Well, no, I'm not okay. But I'm handling it. We're coming down there, my dad said immediately. We're getting in the car right now. Dad, you don't have to. We're coming. We'll be there in 3 hours. And that was that. There was no arguing with my father when he used that tone. The call with Sarah's parents was worse. Her mother answered, and her voice was just as cheerful as my mom's had been. Oh, we were just talking about you. Last night was absolutely lovely. Sarah looked so happy. Mrs. Chun, I need to tell you something. I used her last name deliberately, creating distance. Sarah and I aren't getting married. The engagement is off. A pause. What? I don't understand. What happened? You should talk to your daughter about that. I just wanted you to hear it from me before you heard it from her. Is this about a fight? Honey, all couples fight before the wedding. It's the stress. It's not about a fight, I said, my voice harder than I intended. It's about Sarah having an affair for the past 8 months. Another longer pause. Then, that's not possible. Sarah would never. She did. I caught her with him last night. At our engagement party. I heard her saying something to someone else, probably Sarah's father. Then more muffled conversation. There must be some misunderstanding, she said when she came back on the line. Sarah loves you. She wouldn't do that. Ask her, I said simply. Ask her about Daniel. I think you need to calm down and think about this rationally. Mrs. Chun, I'm not the one who needs to be rational right now. Your daughter cheated on me for 8 months. She lied to me, to you, to everyone. And now I'm done. That's all I called to say. I hung up before she could respond. My hands were shaking. Somewhere in my mind, I'd hoped they'd believe me, maybe even apologize on Sarah's behalf. But of course they'd defend her. She was their daughter. That's what parents do. The rest of the day was a blur of phone calls. My sister, who cried and then got angry and offered to beat Sarah's ass. My grandmother, who went silent for a long time and then said, "That girl never deserved my ring anyway." My closest friends, who were universally shocked and outraged on my behalf. By the time my parents arrived that evening, I was emotionally drained. My mother hugged me for what felt like 10 minutes, and I let her. I needed it. They stayed for 2 days, helping me start the process of untangling my life from Sarah's. My dad helped me change the locks on the apartment. My mom went through the place removing anything that was Sarah's or reminded me of her, boxing it all up to be picked up later. We had to call the wedding venue and cancel. That conversation was harder than I expected. The coordinator was sympathetic but firm about their policy. We'd lose the deposit, $5,000, but at least we wouldn't be on the hook for the full amount since it was still 9 months out. $5,000. Gone. Just like that. Just one more casualty of Sarah's betrayal. The hardest part was dealing with the gifts. People had already started sending engagement presents. Kitchen appliances, fancy towels, picture frames engraved with our names and wedding date. Each package that arrived felt like a punch to the gut. On Tuesday, 3 days after the party, Jessica showed up at my door. I'd been half expecting her, half dreading her. Sarah's best friend, the one who'd known about Daniel the whole time and said nothing. "Can we talk?" she asked when I opened the door. "I don't think we have anything to talk about," I said, starting to close the door. She put her hand out, stopping it. "Please, just give me 5 minutes." Against my better judgment, I let her in. She stood in the living room, looking uncomfortable. "I know you're angry with me. Angry doesn't begin to cover it. You knew. You knew what she was doing, and you helped her lie to me. I didn't help her lie. You knew and you said nothing. That's the same thing, Jessica." She flinched. "You're right. You're absolutely right. But you don't understand the position I was in. She's my best friend. What was I supposed to do? You were supposed to tell me." My voice rose despite my intention to stay calm. "You were supposed to do the right thing. Instead, you smiled at me at that party. You toasted to our happiness. All while knowing she was betraying me." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I told her to end it. So many times. I begged her to either end it with Daniel or end it with you, but she couldn't choose. She loved you both." "Don't," I cut her off. "Don't tell me about how she loved me. People who love you don't lie to you for 8 months. They don't cheat on you. They don't let you plan a future they know is built on lies." Jessica wiped her eyes. For what it's worth, I think she really was going to end it with him after the wedding. She told me that. So she was going to marry me while still sleeping with him? That doesn't make it better, Jessica. That makes it worse. I know. God, I know. I'm not trying to defend what she did. I wanted you to know that she does love you. In her own messed up way, she does. "I don't care," I said, and I meant it. "Her love isn't worth anything to me now. It's tainted. Everything about her is tainted." Jessica nodded slowly. "I understand. I just wanted to apologize. For my part in this. You deserved better from me. From all of us." "Yeah, I did." After she left, I sat down and finally let myself read the messages Sarah had been sending. Since I'd blocked her number, she'd been emailing me. Dozens of emails, each one more desperate than the last. "Please talk to me. Please. I need to explain. I know you hate me right now, but I'm begging you to let me apologize properly. I made the biggest mistake of my life. I was confused and stupid, and I threw away the best thing that ever happened to me. I ended things with Daniel. Completely. I blocked him. I never want to see him again. It's always been you. Your mom called my mom. Now my whole family knows. My dad won't speak to me. This is killing me." That last one almost made me laugh. She was worried about her family's opinion? About facing consequences for her actions? Welcome to the club. I didn't respond to any of them. What was there to say? Sorry you got caught. Sorry your actions have consequences. By the end of the week, I had to go back to work. I'd used up my emergency days, and I couldn't hide in my apartment forever. The thought of facing my colleagues, of explaining why I looked like hell, of dealing with their pity and their questions, made me feel sick. But I went. Because what else was I supposed to do? The first person I ran into was my boss, Karen. She took one look at me and pulled me into her office. Are you okay? You look terrible. I'm fine, I lied. You're not fine. What happened? So I told her. A brief version, but enough for her to understand. To my surprise, she didn't offer platitudes or empty sympathy. She just nodded and said, take the week off. Paid. Figure out your head. Deal with whatever you need to deal with. Your work will be here when you get back. I almost cried right there in her office. That extra week helped. Not because the pain went away. It didn't, but because it gave me time to start processing. To start accepting that this was really happening. That the life I'd been building was gone, and I had to figure out how to build a new one. I started seeing a therapist. Dr. Morrison was a small, gentle woman in her 60s who had kind eyes and didn't bullshit me. In our first session, she let me rant for 45 minutes straight. When I finally wound down, she said something I'll never forget. You're grieving two losses right now. The loss of your relationship and the loss of who you thought your partner was. The second loss is often harder than the first. She was right. I wasn't just mourning Sarah. I was mourning the version of Sarah I'd fallen in love with. The version who'd never existed. The real Sarah, the one who could lie so easily, who could compartmentalize so completely, who could betray someone who loved her while looking them in the eye. That person was a stranger to me. 2 weeks after the party, Sarah's stuff was finally removed from the apartment. I wasn't there for it. I arranged for her to come when I was at work, and I had Marcus there to supervise. I didn't trust her not to take things that weren't hers or worse, to try to leave me some kind of letter or note. Marcus texted me when it was done. All clear. She cried the whole time. Kept asking about you. I told her to leave you alone. Thanks, man. You doing okay? Getting there. But was I? Even I didn't know the answer to that. The nights were the worst. That's when the thoughts would come, dark and insidious. Questions I couldn't answer. Was I not enough for her? What did Daniel have that I didn't? Was I boring? Bad in bed? Too predictable? Too stable? Dr. Morrison kept reminding me that Sarah's choices weren't about my deficiencies. They were about her character, her inability to be honest, her need for something I couldn't name or understand. But knowing something intellectually and believing it emotionally are two different things. 3 weeks after the engagement party, I was grocery shopping when I ran into one of Sarah's co-workers. Amanda, I think her name was. She'd been at the party. She saw me and immediately looked uncomfortable, like she was debating whether to pretend she hadn't seen me or acknowledge me. I made the decision for her by nodding in her direction. Oh, hi, she said too brightly. How are you? I've been better, I said honestly. You? Good. Listen, I just wanted to say, I'm really sorry about what happened. With Sarah and everything. Thanks. I appreciate that. She hesitated, then leaned in closer. I don't know if this helps or makes it worse, but everyone at the office thinks what she did was awful. Daniel too. They were so indiscreet about it, always disappearing at the same time, taking long lunches together. We all knew something was going on, but none of us knew she was engaged until everything came out. I felt a fresh wave of humiliation wash over me. Everyone knew. Everyone was watching them, whispering about them, while I was at home, completely oblivious. Good to know, I managed to say. She must have seen something in my face because she quickly added, for what it's worth, Daniel got fired. And Sarah got transferred to a different department. They're not working together anymore. Small comfort, but comfort nonetheless. After she left, I abandoned my shopping cart and went home. I couldn't be in public anymore. Couldn't risk running into anyone else who might look at me with pity or, worse, curiosity about the drama. That night, I broke my rule and looked at Sarah's social media. I don't know what I was hoping to find. Maybe some sign that she was suffering as much as I was? Maybe proof that she'd moved on so I could finally let myself hate her? What I found was worse than either option. Her accounts were gone. Not just private, completely deleted. Instagram, Facebook, everything. Wiped clean like she'd never existed. Even that felt like a betrayal somehow. Like she got to erase herself, erase us, while I was stuck with all these memories and nowhere to put them. I called Marcus. I looked at her social media, I admitted. Why would you do that to yourself? I don't know. Masochism? What did you find? Nothing. It's all gone. She deleted everything. He was quiet for a moment. Maybe that's good. One less way for you to torture yourself. Maybe. But it didn't feel good. It felt like she was rewriting history, pretending our relationship had never happened. For years, gone with the click of a button. A month after the engagement party, I finally felt ready to do something I'd been avoiding. Go through the photos from that night. The photographer had sent them a few days after the party, before everything fell apart. I'd left them unopened in my email, unable to face them. But now, in some masochistic need to process and purge, I opened the folder. There we were, Sarah and me, smiling for the camera. My arm around her waist. Her looking up at me with what looked like genuine love in her eyes. Both of us radiating happiness. Every single photo was a lie. In this one, we're cutting the cake. In this one, we're dancing. In this one, we're surrounded by friends. Everyone laughing at some joke I can't remember. And in this one, taken around 7:15 according to the timestamp, Sarah is looking at something off camera with an expression I couldn't quite read. Was she looking at Daniel? Was she already thinking about sneaking off to meet him? I went through every single photo, torturing myself, until I found it. A photo taken at 7:48, just before I went to find her. In it, Sarah is talking to Jessica, and Jessica is leaning in close, saying something. Sarah's face is conflicted, worried. Was Jessica warning her? Telling her to be careful? Maybe suggesting she end things before I found out? Whatever the conversation was, it hadn't been enough to stop her. I deleted the entire folder. Every single photo. Gone. Unlike Sarah, I couldn't delete the memories. But I could delete the evidence. By the time 6 weeks had passed, I'd settled into a new routine. Wake up, go to therapy, go to work, go to the gym, come home, try to sleep. Rinse and repeat. It wasn't living, not really. But it was surviving, and that was enough for now. My parents called every few days to check on me. My sister visited on weekends. Marcus came over once a week for dinner, and pointedly didn't mention Sarah unless I brought her up first. People were being kind, patient, understanding. But I could see it in their eyes, the question they were all too polite to ask. When are you going to be okay again? I didn't have an answer. Dr. Morrison said healing wasn't linear. Some days I'd feel fine, almost normal. Other days, something would trigger a memory, and I'd be right back in that hallway, watching my world collapse. The hardest triggers were the random ones. A couple holding hands in the grocery store. A jewelry commercial. Someone mentioning wedding plans. A song that played in a coffee shop. Once, I saw a woman who looked like Sarah from behind, and my heart stopped. I actually froze in place, unable to breathe, until she turned around and I saw it wasn't her. That's when I realized something terrifying. Part of me was still hoping to see her. Still hoping she'd appear and somehow fix everything, make it all make sense. But that's not how this works. There is no explanation that would make 8 months of lying okay. No apology that could undo the damage. Sarah had made her choices, and now I had to live with the consequences. As I sat in my apartment that night, surrounded by the life I'd built alone, I couldn't help but think about something Dr. Morrison had said in our last session. Betrayal doesn't just destroy the present. It infects the past and threatens the future. She was right. Every happy memory I had with Sarah was now tainted with the question, was she thinking about him? Every future plan I'd made was now impossible. And moving forward, how would I ever trust anyone again? But I also realized something else. I was still here. Still standing. Still surviving. Sarah had broken my heart, destroyed my trust, shattered my future. But she hadn't destroyed me. And that, I decided, would have to be enough. For now, anyway. Because whether I wanted it or not, life was moving forward. And I had a choice. I could let this define me, or I could find a way to move past it. I wasn't there yet. Not even close. But maybe eventually I would be. As I drifted off to sleep that night, my last thought was a question that would haunt me for months to come. How do you learn to trust again when the person you trusted most was the one who destroyed you? I didn't have an answer yet, but I was determined to find one. You know what nobody tells you about heartbreak? It's not just the big moments that destroy you. It's the small ones. The everyday reminders that the life you thought you'd have doesn't exist anymore. It had been 8 weeks since the engagement party. 2 months of therapy, sleepless nights, and learning to live alone again. I was getting better, or at least, I was getting better at pretending I was getting better. Work had become my refuge. I threw myself into projects, stayed late, volunteered for extra assignments. Anything to keep my mind occupied. My boss, Karen, kept a concerned eye on me, but didn't push. She understood that sometimes work is the only thing that makes sense when your personal life is chaos. It was a Tuesday afternoon when everything changed again. I was in my office, reviewing a presentation for a client meeting, when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. I'd been getting random calls from vendors about the canceled wedding, and each one felt like reopening a wound. But something made me pick up. Hello. Is this? A woman's voice, hesitant, nervous. Is this Sarah Chen's fiancé? Ex-fiancé. My stomach dropped. Who is this? My name is Rachel. Rachel Morrison. God, I don't even know how to say this. I'm Daniel's wife. The world tilted on its axis. Daniel was married. Daniel. The man my fiancé had been sleeping with for 8 months. The man she'd been kissing in that hallway. The man she'd claimed to love. He was married. Are you still there? Rachel asked. Yeah, I managed. I'm here. I didn't know he was married. He is. For 6 years. We have a daughter. She's 4. Oh God. There was a child involved in this mess. I'm so sorry, I said automatically. I didn't. Sarah never mentioned. Of course she didn't, Rachel said, and there was bitterness in her voice. Can we meet? I think we need to talk. There are things you don't know. Things you need to know. I don't know if that's a good idea, I said carefully. The last thing I needed was to get pulled deeper into this nightmare. Please, she said, and her voice cracked. I've been trying to piece together what happened for weeks. My husband won't tell me the truth. His story keeps changing. I need to talk to someone who knows what really happened. And I think you need to hear what I have to say. Something in her voice convinced me. Maybe it was the shared pain. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe I was just tired of not having all the pieces. Okay, I said. When? We agreed to meet at a coffee shop the next day. Neutral territory. Public enough to feel safe, private enough to have a difficult conversation. I didn't sleep well that night. My mind kept racing with possibilities. What could Rachel possibly tell me that I didn't already know? What difference would it make? But deep down, I knew it would make a difference. Because every new piece of information changed the picture, even if I didn't want it to. I got to the coffee shop 15 minutes early and claimed a corner table. I ordered a black coffee I didn't really want and waited, my leg bouncing nervously under the table. Rachel arrived exactly on time. I recognized her immediately, though I'm not sure how. Maybe it was the way she looked around the coffee shop with the same nervous energy I felt. Maybe it was the exhaustion in her eyes that I saw in my own mirror every day. She was pretty in a tired kind of way. Blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail, minimal makeup, wearing jeans and a sweater. She looked like someone who'd stopped caring about appearances because she had bigger things to worry about. She spotted me and walked over. Thank you for meeting me, she said, sitting down across from me. I'm not sure why I'm here, to be honest. Because we're both victims of the same 2 people, she said bluntly. And we deserve to know the truth. I couldn't argue with that. She pulled out her phone and set it on the table between us. On the screen was a photo of a man I recognized instantly, Daniel, with a beautiful little girl. They were at what looked like a park, both smiling at the camera. That's my daughter, Emma, Rachel said. She asks about her daddy every night. Wants to know when he's coming home. Where is he? At his brother's place. I kicked him out the day after your engagement party. He came home at 2 in the morning, drunk, crying, confessing everything. Or what he claimed was everything. She pulled up another photo, and this time I had to grip the edge of the table. It was Sarah and Daniel together, clearly at some kind of restaurant. Sarah was laughing at something, her hand on his arm. The photo was time-stamped from 6 months ago. I found a secret phone, Rachel said. The one he used to communicate with her. There are hundreds of messages. Thousands, maybe. Photos. Videos. She looked away, her jaw tight. Things I can never unsee. Why are you showing me this? Because their story, the one they told us when they got caught, it's not the whole truth. Not even close. My heart was pounding now. What do you mean? Rachel took a deep breath. When Daniel came home that night, he told me he'd been having an affair with a woman from work. He said it had been going on for a few months, that it was a mistake, that he wanted to work on our marriage. He begged me to forgive him. But it wasn't just a few months. No, it was longer than either of them admitted. And it was more serious. She scrolled through her phone and showed me a text exchange. Daniel, I can't keep doing this. Rachel's getting suspicious. Sarah, you said you were going to tell her. You promised me after the holidays. Daniel, I know, baby. I will. I just need more time. Sarah, you've been saying that for months. I'm starting to think you never will. Maybe I should just tell her myself. Daniel, please don't. Let me handle it. I love you. I'm going to leave her. I promise. The date on the exchange was over a year ago. This started before they both claimed, Rachel said. Way before. I think it's been going on for at least 18 months, maybe longer. 18 months. That was before I'd even started thinking about proposing. That was when Sarah and I were supposedly in one of the best phases of our relationship. There's more, Rachel continued. She showed me another message thread. Sarah, he proposed. Daniel, shit. What did you say? Sarah, what do you think I said? I said yes. We talked about this. This is the plan. Daniel, I know. I just hate thinking about you marrying him. Sarah, it's just a piece of paper. It doesn't change how I feel about you. Once we're both free, we can be together for real. No more hiding. I felt sick. The proposal. My proposal. The moment I thought was the beginning of our forever. She'd been strategizing about it with him. They were planning to leave us, Rachel said quietly. Both of them. They were going to wait until after your wedding, after they'd both secured everything they needed. Financially, legally, and then they were going to start their real life together. Why wait until after the wedding? Property. Assets. In Daniel's case, custody arrangements. Sarah mentioned in several texts that she wanted to be legally married to you first for, I don't know, some financial reason. Something about insurance or a joint account. I couldn't piece it all together. Did you know about the engagement party? I asked. Rachel nodded. That's the part that made me angriest. Daniel told me he had a work event that night. Said he'd be home late. I was home with Emma, giving her dinner, reading her bedtime stories. And he was at your engagement party, planning to sneak away with your fiancée. Did he tell you what happened? Why they got caught? He said you walked in on them kissing. That it was a stupid, impulsive mistake. That they were saying goodbye because Sarah had decided to end things. That's bullshit, I said flatly. Sarah told me she was planning to end it after the wedding. And if these texts are real, they're real. Then they weren't saying goodbye. They were probably planning their next meetup. Rachel wiped her eyes. I've spent the past 8 weeks trying to understand how I didn't see it. How I missed all the signs. And then I realized I didn't miss them. I saw them. I just explained them away because I trusted him. Because I believed in our marriage. I did the same thing, I admitted. There were signs. Little things that didn't add up. But I loved her. I trusted her. So I chose to believe her explanations. They counted on that, Rachel said bitterly. They counted on our love, our trust, our commitment. They used it against us. We sat in silence for a moment, two strangers connected by betrayal. There's something else, Rachel said finally. Something I think you need to see. She pulled up a video on her phone, handed it to me. It was dated from 2 weeks after the engagement party. Sarah and Daniel in what looked like a parking garage, standing by a car. Sarah was crying. Daniel had his arms around her. The video had audio. I can't lose you, Sarah was saying. I can't. He won't even talk to me. He blocked my number, blocked my email. Everything's falling apart. We can still fix this, Daniel said. We just need to be patient. Give it time. He'll cool down eventually. You can talk to him, explain that it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake. Sarah pulled back. What we have isn't a mistake. I love you. I chose you. Then why did you say yes to his proposal? Because I panicked. Because I thought we had more time. You weren't leaving Rachel yet, and I didn't want to lose everything. So you were going to marry him as a backup plan? No. Maybe. I don't know. She was crying harder now. I just know I can't be without you. We'll figure this out. We always do. They kissed. Then the video ended. I handed the phone back to Rachel, my hand shaking. When was this taken? 2 weeks ago. My lawyer hired a private investigator to document Daniel's movements. For the custody case. This was from last Tuesday. They're still seeing each other, I said numbly. They never stopped, Rachel confirmed. Daniel moved out, started staying with his brother. Or that's what he told me. But the investigator found out he's actually renting an apartment across town. And guess who's been visiting him? I didn't need to guess. Sarah's been there 3 times in the past 2 weeks. Staying overnight. She's probably been telling people she's staying with friends while she deals with the breakup. The hits kept coming. Each revelation worse than the last. Why are you telling me all this? I asked. What do you want from me? I want the truth to come out, Rachel said. Not the version they're telling people. That it was a brief affair, a mistake, a moment of weakness. The real truth. That they're sociopaths who planned this for over a year. That they were going to use both of us and then discard us when it was convenient. And how do we do that? She leaned forward, her eyes hard. We expose them. Together. We tell everyone, their families, their friends, their co-workers, exactly what they did. With evidence. With dates. With screenshots of every lie they told. That sounds like revenge. It is revenge, she said unapologetically. But it's also justice. They need to face consequences. Real consequences. Not just losing their relationships, but losing their reputations. Their carefully maintained images of being good people. I thought about it. Part of me wanted to say no, to walk away, to keep trying to move forward without looking back. That's what my therapist would probably advise. That's what the mature, healthy response would be. But another part of me, the part that had been broken and humiliated and lied to for over a year, wanted exactly what Rachel was proposing. What about Emma? I asked. Your daughter. If we do this, it's going to be public. She's going to grow up knowing about this. Rachel's expression softened. Emma deserves to know what kind of man her father is. Not now, but eventually. And she deserves a mother who stood up for herself, who didn't just let herself be walked over. I'm doing this for her as much as for me. I understood that. I respected it even. What's your plan? She smiled, and it wasn't a nice smile. I've been putting together a document. A timeline. With screenshots, photos, receipts from hotels and restaurants, credit card statements Daniel thought I couldn't access. I have evidence of lies they told, people they manipulated, money they spent on their affair. Money. Daniel spent over $15,000 on Sarah over the past year. Jewelry, clothes, weekend trips. Money that came from our joint account. Money that should have been going toward Emma's college fund. $15,000. I felt sick again. I was thinking we could send this document to certain people, Rachel continued. Sarah's parents. Daniel's parents. Their closest friends. Their employers. Not everyone, not some public blast. Just the people whose opinions they care about most. It was methodical. Calculated. The opposite of the emotional, reactive revenge I'd been imagining. You've really thought this through. I've had nothing but time to think about it. Every night when Emma asks where Daddy is. Every morning when I wake up alone. Every time I see happy couples and remember that I thought we were happy too. I knew that feeling intimately. Can I think about it? I asked. Of course. Take your time. But not too much time. She stood up, gathering her things. They're still lying. Still playing victims. Still letting everyone think this was some spontaneous, regrettable mistake. The longer we wait, the more their version of events becomes the accepted truth. She was right. I'd already seen it happening. Friends who'd initially been outraged on my behalf were starting to soften. People make mistakes, they'd say. Maybe you two could work through it. They didn't know the full story. No one did. I'll let you know, I said. Rachel nodded. There's one more thing. Something I think you should know, even if you decide not to help me. What? Sarah's pregnant. The world stopped. What? According to the texts I found, she told Daniel 3 weeks ago. She doesn't know if it's his or yours. She was planning to take a paternity test after the birth. I couldn't breathe. Couldn't think. Couldn't process what I was hearing. I thought you deserved to know, Rachel said quietly. Even if you do nothing else, you deserve to know that. She left then, walking out of the coffee shop and leaving me sitting there, shell-shocked and reeling. Sarah was pregnant, with a baby that might be mine, or might be Daniel's. A baby she was planning to have while continuing her affair, while lying to both of us about paternity, while manipulating the situation to her advantage. I sat there for over an hour, staring at nothing, trying to make sense of it all. 8 weeks ago, I'd thought I knew everything. Thought I'd hit rock bottom. Thought things couldn't get worse. I was wrong. This was worse. This was so much worse. Because now I wasn't just dealing with betrayal and heartbreak. I was dealing with the possibility that somewhere out there, growing inside the woman who destroyed me, might be my child. A child I'd wanted. A child Sarah and I had talked about having someday. A child that might now be part of the most complicated, painful situation I could imagine. I pulled out my phone and stared at Rachel's contact information. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I texted her one word. I'm in. Revenge is supposed to feel good, right? That's what they tell you. That's what you see in movies. The wronged protagonist gets their vengeance, and they walk away satisfied, justified, vindicated. That's not how it feels in real life. In real life, revenge feels like swallowing poison and hoping the other person dies from it. But I did it anyway. Rachel and I spent the next 2 weeks compiling everything. Every text message. Every photo. Every receipt. Every lie, documented and time-stamped. It was meticulous, thorough, and absolutely damning. The document we created was 23 pages long. A timeline of betrayal that started nearly 2 years ago, even earlier than Rachel had initially thought, and continued right up to the present day. We had proof that Sarah had been planning to marry me while actively maintaining her relationship with Daniel. We had messages where she discussed using me for financial stability while she and Daniel figured things out. We had photos of them together while she was supposed to be at work events, family gatherings, even one from the weekend she'd told me she was at a yoga retreat. And we had the texts about the pregnancy. That had been the hardest part to include, because those texts revealed something even more manipulative than I'd imagined. Sarah had been tracking her ovulation. She'd been trying to get pregnant deliberately. And according to her messages to Daniel, she was timing intimacy with both of us to ensure she'd get pregnant, but keep the paternity uncertain enough that she could claim the baby was mine if she needed to. It was calculated. Coldly, methodically calculated. Why would she do that? Rachel had asked when we found those texts. What's the endgame? Security, I'd answered. If she had my baby, I'd be tied to her forever. Child support, custody, co-parenting. Even if we weren't together, I'd have to be in her life. And Daniel? I'd trailed off, seeing it clearly. Daniel was the one she wanted. But she needed a backup plan in case he never actually left you. God, they really are perfect for each other, Rachel had said bitterly. Two manipulative users who deserve everything that's coming to them. We decided to release the document on a Friday. Send it out at 5 p.m. Give people the weekend to read it and react. We made a list of recipients. Sarah's parents, my parents, who deserved to see the full extent of what she'd done. Daniel's parents, Jessica, who'd helped cover for Sarah. Select colleagues who'd been fed lies about what happened, and the HR departments at both Sarah's and Daniel's companies. We weren't trying to ruin their lives. Not really. We were just telling the truth. What they'd built their lives on were lies, and lies can't stand forever. The night before we sent it, I almost backed out. I was sitting in my apartment, staring at the document on my laptop, my finger hovering over the send button. Once I did this, there was no going back. This would escalate everything. Turn private pain into public knowledge. Make permanent what could still potentially be undone. I called Marcus. I need to talk through something, I said when he answered. Shoot. I told him everything. About Rachel, about the extended timeline, about the pregnancy, about the document we'd created. He was quiet for a long moment after I finished. That's heavy, man. That's really heavy. Do you think I'm wrong to do this? I think. He paused. I think you have every right to expose the truth. But I also think you need to be honest with yourself about why you're doing it. Is it justice? Or is it pain? Does it matter? Yeah, it does. Because if you're doing this from a place of pain, you're not going to feel better afterward. You're just going to feel empty. And if it's justice, then do it. But make sure you can live with the consequences. What consequences? They're the ones who lied. They're the ones who cheated. Sure. But you're the one who's about to make it public. You're the one who's going to have to see everyone's reactions, answer questions, deal with the fallout. And if Sarah really is pregnant with your kid, he trailed off. If she is, then I have even more reason to do this. That kid deserves to know the truth eventually. Maybe. But that kid also deserves parents who can co-parent civilly. If you burn this bridge, there's no rebuilding it. I hated that he had a point. I need to do this, I said finally. For me. I need her to face consequences. Real consequences. Not just a cancelled wedding and some awkward conversations. Then do it, Marcus said. But go in with your eyes open. This is going to hurt you too. Maybe not as much as it hurts them, but it's going to hurt. He was right, of course. He was always right. But I sent it anyway. At 5 p.m. on Friday, Rachel and I simultaneously hit send. The document, with all its evidence and all its truth, went out to 14 different email addresses. Then we waited. The first response came at 5:47 p.m. From my mother. I don't even know what to say. I'm so sorry you went through all this. She's despicable. Both of them are. Are you okay? I'm fine, Mom. Just needed everyone to know the truth. We're behind you. Whatever you need. The second response came at 6:23 p.m. Sarah's mother. This is absolutely outrageous. I don't know where you got this information, but it's clearly been manipulated. My daughter would never do these things. You're bitter and you're trying to destroy her reputation. I'd expected that. Sarah's parents had never believed she was capable of wrong. Even catching her in the act at the engagement party hadn't been enough. But then, at 7:15 p.m., I got a call from Sarah. I'd unblocked her number weeks ago, though I hadn't told anyone. Part of me wanted to see if she'd reach out. Part of me, stupidly, still wanted to hear her voice. But when she called, I didn't answer. I let it go to voicemail. The voicemail she left was 30 seconds of screaming. Accusations. Rage. How dare I? How could I? I'd ruined her life. I'd ruined everything. Not one word of apology. Not one admission of guilt. Just anger that she'd been exposed. Rachel called me 10 minutes later. Daniel just showed up at the house, she said, and I could hear the shake in her voice. He's pounding on the door, demanding to talk to me. I called the police. Are you safe? Is Emma safe? We're locked in her bedroom. But he's scaring her. She's crying. Rachel, get off the phone with me and call 911 if you haven't already. I did. They're on their way. I needed someone to know. In case something happens. Nothing's going to happen. The police will be there soon. But I could hear the fear in her voice, and it mirrored the fear in my chest. What had we unleashed? The weekend that followed was chaos. Sarah sent me 47 text messages. Each one more desperate than the last. Please take it down. Please. You're destroying my life. I know I hurt you, but this is too far. This is cruel. My boss called me. I might lose my job. Is that what you want? I'm pregnant with your baby and you're doing this to me? You never loved me. If you loved me, you couldn't do this. I hope you're happy. I hope this makes you feel like a big man. Everyone hates me now. My own sister won't talk to me. Are you satisfied? I didn't respond to any of them. But I read every single one, and each one felt like confirmation that I'd made the right choice. Even now, even after everything, she was making herself the victim. On Sunday, I got a call from an unknown number. I answered out of curiosity. This is Daniel. I should have hung up. But I didn't. What do you want? I want you to take down that document. What you and Rachel did was illegal. Invasion of privacy. Defamation. We're getting lawyers involved. I laughed. Actually laughed. Good luck with that. Everything in that document is true and provable. Maybe spend less time threatening me and more time explaining to your daughter why you're such a piece of shit. You don't get to talk about my daughter. Your daughter who asks where daddy is every night? The one you abandoned for an affair? Yeah, I think I do get to talk about her. Someone needs to care about what this is doing to that kid, since you clearly don't. Silence on the other end. Sarah's pregnant, he said finally. She's pregnant and you're destroying her life. What kind of man does that? The kind of man who was lied to for 2 years. The kind of man who discovered his fiancée was planning to use him for financial security while continuing an affair. The kind of man who found out there's a baby that might be his, and that the mother was planning to lie about paternity. She wasn't. It's in the texts, Daniel. Her words. Her plan. Don't try to gaslight me now. If that baby is yours, you're going to regret this. If that baby is mine, I said coldly, then I'm going to fight for custody. Because that child deserves better than a mother who's this manipulative and a potential father who's this morally bankrupt. I hung up on him. My hands were shaking. I'd never spoken to anyone like that before. I wasn't a confrontational person. I was the guy who avoided conflict, who smoothed things over, who kept the peace. But something in me had changed. The betrayal had hardened something that used to be soft. By Monday morning, the fallout was complete. Sarah had been put on administrative leave from her job, pending an investigation into her relationship with Daniel and whether company policies had been violated. Daniel had been fired outright. Their affair, it turned out, had violated several workplace policies about fraternization and conflicts of interest. Sarah's friends had split into 2 camps. Half believed her story that I'd manipulated the evidence and exaggerated everything. Half had cut her off completely. Jessica called me Sunday night. I need you to know something, she said. What? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have told you sooner. I should have. I convinced myself I was being a good friend to Sarah, but I was just being a coward. Yeah, you were. I know. And I can't take it back. But I want you to know that I told Sarah's parents everything. The real timeline. All the times I covered for her. Everything I know. They're finally starting to believe what really happened. Why are you telling me this? Because you deserved better. From all of us. And I want you to know that some of us are on your side. Some of us know that what you did, exposing the truth, was the right thing. Thanks, Jessica. Are you okay? No. But I will be. That became my mantra over the next few weeks. I will be. Because I had to believe it. Had to believe that someday this would hurt less. That someday, I'd be able to think about Sarah without feeling this mix of rage and heartbreak and betrayal. 3 weeks after we sent out the document, Rachel called me. Daniel signed the divorce papers, she said. Full custody to me. Child support. He didn't even fight it. That's good. That's what you wanted. Yeah. She was quiet for a moment. I've been thinking about something you said. About how revenge feels like poison. And you were right. I don't feel better. I feel empty. Validated, maybe. But not better. Me too, I admitted. Do you regret it? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No, I said finally. I don't regret telling the truth. But I regret that it was necessary. I regret that she made it necessary. Yeah, me too. We talked for a while longer. Two people who'd been through the same hell, trying to find our way out on the other side. After we hung up, I looked around my apartment. It was cleaner now, more organized. I'd redecorated a bit, trying to erase Sarah's presence. New furniture. New art on the walls. New sheets on the bed. I'd even started dating again. Nothing serious, just coffee dates and dinners with women from dating apps. It felt strange, uncomfortable, like learning to walk again after an injury. Dr. Morrison said that was normal. That learning to trust again would take time. But the question of the baby haunted me. Sarah was 4 months pregnant now. Visibly showing. I'd seen a photo someone posted on social media before I'd blocked everyone connected to her. She looked tired. Unhappy. But definitely pregnant. I'd consulted with a lawyer about my rights. If the baby was mine, I could demand a paternity test. I could fight for custody or at minimum, establish a visitation schedule. But the lawyer had been blunt with me. Are you sure you want to tie yourself to this woman for the next 18 years? Because that's what you're doing if you pursue paternity. What if I just want to know? Then you're opening a door you can't close. Once you know, you have to make decisions about that kid. You can't just know and walk away. That's not how this works. He was right, of course. So I was stuck in limbo. Waiting. Wondering. Trying to move forward while this massive question mark hung over my future. Some nights I'd lie awake and imagine what I'd do if the baby was mine. Would I fight for custody? Would I try to co-parent with Sarah despite everything? Would I be able to look at that child without seeing all the lies and betrayal? Other nights I'd imagine what I'd do if the baby wasn't mine. Would I feel relief? Or would I feel a strange kind of loss, mourning a child that was never really mine to begin with? I didn't have answers to any of those questions. All I knew was that life had gotten impossibly complicated in ways I never could have imagined when I proposed on that beach. 6 months after the engagement party, I was sitting in a restaurant with a woman named Claire. She was nice, smart, funny. We'd been on 3 dates, and I actually enjoyed spending time with her. Can I ask you something? She said over dessert. Sure. Why does a guy like you do online dating? You seem pretty great. Why aren't you taken? I smiled, but it was sad. Long story. I've got time. So I told her. A condensed version, but the important parts. The engagement. The betrayal. The aftermath. She listened without interrupting, her expression growing more concerned as I talked. Wow, she said when I finished. That's a lot. Yeah, it is. And I understand if you want to bail. I'm probably not ready for anything serious. I'm definitely carrying some baggage. Everyone is baggage, she said. Yours is just fresher than most. That's a nice way to put it. She reached across the table and took my hand. I think you're brave. For telling the truth. For standing up for yourself. For being here, trying again. I looked at our hands, hers on mine, and felt something I hadn't felt in months. Hope. Maybe not hope for forever. Maybe not even hope for a future with Claire specifically. But hope that someday I could have this. A simple dinner with someone who looked at me like I was worth knowing. Someone who didn't carry the weight of lies and betrayal. Thank you, I said. For what? For not running away screaming. She laughed. The night's not over yet. We both laughed then, and it felt good. It felt normal. As I drove home that night, I realized something. The story of Sarah and Daniel and the engagement party. It was starting to become just that. A story. Something that happened to me, rather than something that defined me. I wasn't there yet. Wasn't fully healed. Wasn't ready to say I'd moved on. But I was moving. Forward, however slowly. And that, I decided, was enough. The reckoning had come. The truth had been told. The consequences had been faced. Now came the harder part. Learning to live again. No, I didn't. She flinched at that, but I wasn't trying to be cruel. It was just the truth. I've been in therapy, she continued. Trying to figure out why I did what I did. Why I couldn't just choose one of you. Why I had to have both. I'm sorry. I know you wanted, or I thought maybe you wanted. I didn't know what I wanted, I said honestly. But I'm glad I know now. He's Daniel's, she said. In case you were wondering. I figured. We're not together anymore, she added quickly. Daniel and me. We tried for a while after everything happened, but... She trailed off. Turns out we didn't work as well when we didn't have someone to lie to. I didn't know what to say to that. I'm sorry, she said suddenly. I know I've said it before, and I know you probably don't want to hear it again, but I'm sorry. For everything. You didn't deserve any of what I put you through. But this story isn't really about Melissa. Or about me moving on. This story is about what happened 2 months ago, when I ran into Sarah. I was at a grocery store, standing in the produce section, trying to remember if I liked green or red bell peppers better. Lost in my own mundane thoughts. When I heard a voice behind me. Hi. I turned around, and there she was. Sarah. She looked different. Tired. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup. She was wearing sweatpants and a t-shirt with what looked like spit up on the shoulder. She had Noah in a carrier on her chest. He was sleeping, his tiny face peaceful. My heart did something complicated. A lurch that was part old habit, part fresh wound, part something I couldn't name. Hi, I said. We stood there for a moment, two people who used to know everything about each other, now complete strangers. He's beautiful, I said, nodding toward the baby. Thank you. She adjusted the carrier slightly. I know you got the paternity test results. Yeah. They say time heals all wounds. I don't think that's true. I think time just teaches you how to live with the scars. It's been 1 year since that engagement party. 365 days since I stood in a hallway and watched my future disintegrate. A year of therapy, of healing, of learning who I am without Sarah. A year of becoming someone new. The baby was born 6 months ago. A boy. Sarah named him Noah. And yes, I got the paternity test. The call came on a Tuesday afternoon. I was at work, in the middle of a meeting, when my phone buzzed with the results. I excused myself and went to the bathroom, hands shaking as I opened the email. Noah wasn't mine. I stared at those words for what felt like hours. Probability of paternity, 0%. I should have felt relief. That's what everyone told me I'd feel. Marcus, my parents, Dr. Morrison. They'd all said that if the baby wasn't mine, I could finally close this chapter completely. Move on with no strings attached. But that's not what I felt. I felt grief. Not for losing Noah, he was never mine to lose. But for the ghost of the life I'd imagined. The family I'd wanted. The children I'd dreamed about having with Sarah, back when I thought our love was real. That version of my future was finally, definitively dead. I called Rachel that night. The test came back, I said. He's not mine. How do you feel? Empty. Is that weird? No, she said. I felt the same way when I finally signed the divorce papers. Even though I wanted it, even though it was the right thing, there was this moment of grief for what I thought I had. Does it get better? Yeah, she said. It does. Not all at once. But gradually. Rachel and I had become unlikely friends over the past year. We'd text every few weeks, check in on each other, share small victories and setbacks. She was dating someone new, a teacher she'd met at Emma's school. Someone kind, she said. Someone honest. I was happy for her. My own dating life was more complicated. After Claire, there had been others. Some fizzled after a few dates. Some I'd self-sabotaged, pulling away the moment things felt too serious. I was working on that in therapy. You're afraid of being vulnerable again, Dr. Morrison had said. That's normal after betrayal. But if you never let yourself be vulnerable, you'll never really connect with anyone. She was right. She was always right, damn her. There was someone new now. Her name was Melissa. We'd met at a friend's birthday party 3 months ago. She was a veterinarian, which meant she had endless stories about idiot pet owners and animals who'd swallowed things they shouldn't have. She made me laugh. Really laugh, not the polite chuckle I'd been offering to most of my dates. We'd taken things slow. She knew about Sarah, about the engagement party, about all of it. I'd learned my lesson about hiding my past. It was part of me now, for better or worse. I'm not competing with a ghost, she'd said when I first told her the story. I'm just getting to know you. The you that exists now, not the you that existed before. I liked that. Liked her. 2 weeks ago, she'd asked me to meet her parents. I'd panicked. Actually panicked. Made up an excuse about being busy. Felt guilty. Called Dr. Morrison for an emergency session. Why does meeting her parents scare you? She'd asked. Because it means it's real. It means I'm actually moving forward. It means I'm choosing to trust someone again. And that terrifies you. Yes. Good. That means you're not numb anymore. You're feeling things again. Even if one of those things is fear. So I'd called Melissa back. Apologized. Told her yes, I'd love to meet her parents. It was scheduled for next weekend. I was terrified and excited in equal measure. Did you figure it out? Not completely. But I'm starting to understand that I was chasing something that doesn't exist. Some perfect combination of security and excitement. Someone who made me feel safe and someone who made me feel alive. I wanted both, and I convinced myself I could have both. At our expense. At your expense. At Daniel's wife's expense. At everyone's expense except mine. She looked down at Noah. And now I'm raising a baby alone because I destroyed every relationship I had. I should have felt satisfaction at that. Some kind of vindication that she was facing consequences. But I didn't. I just felt sad for that baby, who'd been born into such a mess. Are you okay? I asked. Financially, I mean. Taking care of him alone? I'm managing. I got a new job. It pays less than before, but it's fine. My parents help some. Daniel pays child support, though he doesn't visit much. That's rough. It's what I deserve. We stood in silence for another moment. I should let you go, she said finally. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. And that I hope you're doing well. I hope you're happy. I'm getting there, I said. Good. You deserve to be happy. You deserve all the good things I couldn't give you. She turned to walk away, pushing her cart with one hand while the other supported the baby. Sarah, I called after her. She turned back. I forgive you. Her eyes filled with tears. You don't have to say that. I'm not saying it for you. I'm saying it for me. Because I'm tired of carrying anger around. I'm tired of letting what you did define my life. So I forgive you. Not because you've earned it, but because I need to let it go. A tear rolled down her cheek. Thank you. I nodded and she left. I stood there in the produce section, holding a red bell pepper I didn't remember picking up, feeling lighter than I had in months. Forgiveness wasn't about her. It was never about her. It was about me deciding that the betrayal didn't get to take up space in my life anymore. That night, I called my parents. I ran into Sarah today, I told them. My mother's voice immediately went tight. What did she want? Nothing. We just talked. She apologized again. You didn't forgive her, did you? My dad asked, and there was worry in his voice. I did. Silence on the other end. But not because I think what she did was okay, I continued. Because I'm done letting it hurt me. I'm done letting her have that power. Oh, honey, my mom said, and I could hear the relief in her voice. That's so healthy. I'm proud of you. Me too, son, my dad added. That takes real strength. We talked for a while longer, and when I hung up, I realized something. This was it. This was the end of the story. Not a dramatic ending. Not some big confrontation or final showdown. Just a grocery store conversation and a decision to stop carrying the weight. The engagement party felt like a lifetime ago now. That night, standing in the hallway, watching my world collapse, it had fundamentally changed me. But maybe not in the way I'd feared. Yes, I was more cautious now. More protective of my heart. Slower to trust. But I was also stronger. More aware of my own worth. Better at setting boundaries. Less willing to accept less than I deserved. The betrayal had broken something in me. But in the breaking, I'd learned how to rebuild myself better than before. Last week, I moved into a new apartment. A fresh start in a new neighborhood. No memories of Sarah there. No ghosts in the corners. Marcus helped me move, just like he'd helped me with everything else this year. New chapter? He asked as we carried boxes up the stairs. New chapter, I confirmed. You seem good, he observed. Better than I've seen you in a long time. I feel good. Most days, anyway. That's all we can ask for, right? Most days. That night, in my new apartment, surrounded by unpacked boxes and the promise of a fresh start, I did something I hadn't been able to do in months. I looked at photos from before. from when Sarah and I were together. Not the engagement party photos. I'd deleted those long ago. But earlier ones. From when we were actually happy. Or when I thought we were happy. And I looked at them without rage. Without heartbreak. Just with a kind of detached curiosity, like looking at photos of someone I used to know. Because that's what Sarah was now. Someone I used to know. The next morning, I texted Melissa. Still want me to meet your parents next weekend? Her response came immediately. Absolutely. Fair warning. My dad will probably grill you, and my mom will try to feed you too much. I can handle that. Also, I really like you. Just thought you should know. I smiled at my phone. Typed back, I really like you too. And I meant it. Whatever happened with Melissa, whether it worked out or didn't, I was ready to try. Ready to be open. Ready to risk my heart again, even knowing it could break. Because that's what living means. It's not avoiding pain. It's not protecting yourself so much that you never feel anything. It's opening yourself up to possibility, even when you know the risks. That's the real ending to this story. Not the dramatic confrontation at the engagement party. Not the exposure of the affair. Not even the forgiveness in the grocery store. The real ending is me 1 year later, choosing to live again. Choosing to trust again. Choosing to believe that not everyone is Sarah. That not every relationship will end in betrayal. That love, real love, honest love, is still possible. They say the best revenge is living well. I'm not sure if that's true. But I know that the best healing is deciding that what hurt you doesn't get to define you. So here I am. 1 year later. Different. Scarred. But not broken. I caught my fiancé cheating at our engagement party. It destroyed me. But I rebuilt myself. And that, more than anything else, is the story I want to tell. Not the story of betrayal, but the story of survival. Not the story of how I was broken, but the story of how I chose to heal. Final note. If you've been through something similar, if someone you loved has betrayed you, I want you to know something. It gets better. Not quickly. Not easily. But it does get better. You'll have good days and bad days. Days where you feel strong and days where you feel like you're right back in that hallway, watching everything collapse. That's okay. Healing isn't linear. But one day, you'll realize you went a whole week without thinking about them. Then a month. Then longer. One day, you'll meet someone new, and you won't compare them to your ex. One day, you'll hear your ex's name, and it won't hurt anymore. One day you'll forgive, not for them, but for yourself. And one day, you'll tell your story not as a victim, but as a survivor. That day is coming. I promise. Until then, be kind to yourself. Let yourself feel what you need to feel. Rage when you need to rage. Cry when you need to cry. Laugh when you remember you still can. Talk to a therapist. Lean on your friends. Take it one day at a time. And remember, their betrayal says everything about them and nothing about you. You deserved better. You deserve better. And better is coming. Thank you for listening to my story. If this resonated with you, or if you've been through something similar, I hope you know you're not alone. We're all just trying to figure out how to survive the hard things life throws at us. And sometimes that's enough. Take care of yourselves. ***.